Hello. Hi there. Oops. How are you? You're on mute, so I can't hear you yet. I am
Unmuted. Yeah? Okay.
amazing. How are you?
Doing really well. How are you doing? It's so exciting.
Yes, thank you for being here.
Yeah, it's really my pleasure. I feel like, I'm here because I think it's important what you're doing and it's impacted my life, so that's why I'm here.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thanks for being here. So we might as well just jump right into it. So
Yeah,
for those of you
let's do it.
watching, welcome to the Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss podcast. My name's Leslie Thornton. I'm so excited about today's podcast episode. I have one of my best friends in the whole wide world for so many years now joining us
Oh,
today, Annette James. Annette, welcome to the podcast.
thank you. I'm honored to be on it.
Yes, can you tell us what you do for a living, where you are in the world, just to give people a sense?
I am located in Central Florida. I am a nurse manager in my day-to-day work. Let's see. I am a Buddhist practitioner. I don't know. I love Leslie.
Ah.
Those are things about Annette.
Oh, I love it. I
Um,
love you too so much. And yes, I'm glad that you mentioned all those things. Yeah, because leadership and also your deep connection with source and spirituality with your Buddhist practice, it's all so important. And the reason that I invited Annette to be on the podcast was, well, now for more than one reason, but mainly because she and I had the opportunity as friends to actually work together closely for her to produce a relationship transformation in her life that wasn't going to happen otherwise, potentially. And something that I love about you so much, Annette, is just your openness and like understanding on the ability for our wiring to be changed on the unconscious level through neuroplasticity, as well as just, the constant desire to increase consciousness and expansion. Like we both kind of nerd out on that and get excited about that. Um, and so a lot of what I end up supporting my clients with ends up being relationship stuff. And one of my very favorite things to coach people on, probably because I had to go through it myself as well, is to actually attract in a really great partner. And to do it, yeah, there's just such specific ways. So she's been generous enough to be willing to share about that story. And then recently, I also was talking to her around just her current challenges, which my clients face all the time, which is on aging parents. And right, especially you being a nurse and already having that kind of caretaker service, heart centered provider energy, just the struggles that
Oof, yeah.
exactly. Like I
It blows my
know.
mind how almost universal that is. And yeah, it is a tough thing, caretaking.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yes. And
Or it
yeah,
can be.
putting ourselves on the
Mhm.
back burner and, self-care. And I know that you had a very recent cool experience of similarly rewiring kind of your mindset around taking care of parents. So yeah, that's what we're up to here at Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss, helping people, giving you the tools and resources you need to rewire. So what better way to get excited and learn and be inspired than to hear it from someone who's been through it and has produced those results. So let's dive into it. Thank you again for being willing to share. So let's start with the
Okay.
relationship one.
That's
So
fun.
if
Yeah.
you wouldn't mind sharing maybe just a little bit of your relationship past. So just to be clear, like I have always been and still am very inspired by how easy it has always seemed for you to actually like attract in a partner and like just in general manifestation is just so easy. It just seems like it's just like Annette just dreams it up and then here it is and oh that's so lovely and just that presence and that beautiful feminine energy. We've talked before
Oh,
about us kind of having that contrasts, but complementary contrasts of like I feel like my wiring was more in the like masculine, like do, get it done, and yours seems to be more like even though you have achieved amazing things and get so many things done, but just I don't know, that feminine kind of like attract and everything will be cool and like seeing the higher, spirit of it all. So yeah, maybe if you would be willing to share your
Mm.
relationship history.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting one to start with because the first word I would use probably like wouldn't be easy exactly. But but I do get why you would say that, and for the most part, I think I do weather that kind of thing very well. And I noticed like I don't necessarily want to say it, but I am twice divorced. That's one thing I think that would people would be very interested in. And there is some sense of like people aren't going to get it. I don't know. I think I've moved through maybe a shame around it to like, oof, okay, I'm gonna have to explain it, you know. But yeah, so there were two marriages I was in. One was an 8-year relationship, 2 years in marriage, and one was, I believe, like a 5-year relationship, 3 years in marriage, something like that. And but coming out of that, I moved from across the country back home to Florida where I'd grown up. Dating history wise, I'd had really positive associations with dating. Both relationships just seemed to end based on fundamental incompatibilities. Like, what are we doing here? What do we have in common? I wasn't, at some point, it was determined I wasn't going to have kids and I didn't want to pursue that. And that became a fundamental difference in the first marriage. And then in the second marriage, it was more like, just not seeing that, for example, my spiritual path was aligned at all with the beliefs of my former husband, and like very, very clear, just a lot of clarity around what are we doing here? Like these are different paths, and it was a heartbreaking, excruciating, hard process getting out of that. And when I moved back to Florida, it coincided with my mom getting a cancer diagnosis. It was kind of a miracle, really. Based on your coaching, Leslie, I had
Mm.
repaired things with my mom after many years of not being in touch. You've made a profound difference in my life, despite you describe as openness. I describe myself more as stubborn, but like willing. You've like built up the cred over the years that I will that I will like
Nice.
take a chance on on what you're seeing.
I
um
appreciate that. That's
and
amazing. Yeah, I appreciate that
so
because it does seem like when I do mention things, and that was what because it's always so like the best way that someone could show me that they like that I feel so loved is not just like words, but like actually implementing what I'm suggesting and producing a result that's positive in your life. Like that is like, oh, like
whoa.
please make your life better based on what I'm saying. And the fact that like, over time. But anyway, when I do drop stuff into your space, like you seem to like take it on now. And I didn't
Well,
recognize
it's
that
like
like you
even
consider
against
yourself
like
as stubborn, but
it just like knocks around until it's like fine. But
I'm
um
adamant,
so
because if I see
because
something for
yeah,
someone I love so much, I'm like, but you're always so loving and you receive it so well. You never can tell if I'm, bothering you, but no, you seem to
no,
take it on pretty
I wouldn't
quickly.
say it bothers me, but it's like, oh, is that true? Really, really, like there's that resistance initially. But
Yes.
Um, so I had reconciled with my mom. I think we had been out of touch for about 8 years. Reconciled with her, she gets a cancer diagnosis. I had already determined the marriage was ending, moved back to Florida. It was like a miracle of just things coming together. I was there to support her. I was in the hospital with her something between 30 and 40 days as she reached end of life. I got to be with her in like her vibrant, healthy state for over a year. In that time, I was dating and noticing like I had found someone I really appreciated, but again, I was finding this like, what are we doing together? Like, why are we in this partnership kind of thing? Like, um, he was experiencing a lot of, depression. There was going through that a lot, so that ended, and so then it was this moment of like, okay, so here I am, financially stable. I have a beautiful condo. I love my job. I have wonderful friends. I know very well that I can attract a relationship, but it's just like
Mm,
I'm not I don't want just a relationship like that. It was just like that box had been checked. I had
right.
really thoroughly vetted like marrying,
Proven the concept that I
on paper,
can.
perfect guy. I'd done
Mhm.
all of that, and it's like, no, that's not it.
Oh my gosh, there's so many amazing gems, and I can't wait till I hear the full transformation that has happened. Um, First of all, on the topic of divorce, I personally see divorce as like it happens more frequently when people are on a continuous self, learning development path, and, also the amount of courage that it takes to recognize when something's not aligned and to walk away. And I'm sure most people listening to this, can see that for themselves because they wouldn't be listening to this podcast if they saw that. But just wanted to name that I see it as being like, okay, like they're obviously not willing to settle because how many people just stay in marriages that aren't aligned, you know,
Oof,
and
I
that's
get
can be
that.
even more detrimental. We
Yeah,
see that as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
Um, the other piece that I wanted to so yeah, there's so many pieces, but uh, for some women I know listening also on relationships, if they are single, and this was me, where it was like I I did have a positive, like I could find a relationship as well, right? So I did have that. Um, There was a contrast though that you were saying that like wasn't it, but one particular thing that stood out to me, and obviously we're on the Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss podcast, was people who have listened to me for a long time have heard me talk about this story about how I reached out to you. I never said it was you before, but and I was just like, because you had, I knew that you were dating because we met during a weight loss program or whatever when you weren't at your thinnest. And I
Mhm.
like was like had this belief hardwired in my system that I could not attract in a partner at a anywhere bigger size than what I was at my most fit. And I reached out to you and I was just like, Annette, like when you were dating, before you had lost weight, were men still attracted to you? Do you remember what you said to me?
No, what did I say?
You said, "Oh my god, they could not keep their hands off me. Somebody even told me that I was like a feminine goddess or something like that." Like,
Yes,
you remember
that
this?
that is my experience of it. It's just like not weight dependent. It's just not. Yeah.
It's not. And thank you for
Mhm.
saying that because there's so many women listening that literally, like when you said that to me, my jaw dropped. Like I could have exploded because it was such a hardwired belief. And it trapped me from being able to be at peace with myself, with my food, with my body. So just wanted to add that in of the
Well,
alternative belief system that regardless of your weight, you can attract a partner in. It's 100%
yes,
true.
yes.
If a man is still wanting to see you again after the first date, like he already made his decision that he's fine with it
Body.
and he never
Mhm.
thinks about your body again.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, but anyway, so that belief system, but it's like, yeah, but how come we continue to wake up, and that happened to me as well after these relationships and be like, what am I doing here? What are we doing here? Is this it? All of that kind of stuff. So, um, what would you, looking back now,
Hmm.
what would you say was missing in those, yeah, getting into those
In
relationships and choosing those relationships that cause that phenomenon to occur of what are we doing here after a certain amount of years?
It was kind of a lack of connection. It was, I mean, really like almost like exaggeratedly divergent paths, like uh and just feeling like, okay, it's clear to me when a couple has kids, for example, you now have this shared purpose. So even if you're not exactly aligned in every way, it's kind of that may become less important than the shared journey together of raising children.
Mhm.
Like that becomes and it a reason to be together. I don't like it when people say I'm staying together for the kid, that kind of thing, but like it creates
Mhm.
something like this possibility of of connection, I think. In my view, it was like, well, we're not doing that, and we're also not spending time together, and we're not, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and so that makes
And
sense for that
yeah,
first one you were talking about where you had the realization that kids is that was that
yeah,
marriage
yeah,
wasn't, so
and
that makes sense. It's like what initially brought you together of the possibility of us creating a family together went
mhm,
away, was no longer a match, so then that became very clear. So it's like the process like so just knowing yourself and what you wanted, at the time of marriage wasn't fully, right? Not that there's ever a fully, but wasn't solidified
right, right,
or
and it's
whatever. So
just
that's clear.
that was a very, very like thoughtfully done separation of, he was an attorney who loved his work, 80, 100 hours a week. And it's just like, what is this? Like that's kind of what I was loving. It was
Mhm.
like I was sad, I was lonely, I was wanting companionship. I was
So
wanting to do
also
things like,
recognizing, yeah, you needed
yeah,
more time and connection, and that was something that you recognized.
right. And at that point, I was in
Mhm.
therapy for the first time and really starting to see these
Mm.
things about, um, like feeling feelings. Like these are
Mhm.
at the time very new concepts.
Yeah.
And that just became clear of a sort of shared decision of this isn't a compatible relationship, even if we do care for each other and,
Yeah, again, that testament to like the
Mhm.
continuous doing work on yourself, self-awareness, peace, and it actually being a celebration that that awareness was there so that your soul could continue to evolve in what it was actually meant to receive. And so, yeah, no failure, only feedback, but thanks to yourself for getting the feedback so that you could have clarity and move
Yeah,
forward with decisions.
I have a
Mhm.
hard time not acting when I have clarity. That is one
Yeah.
thing, even if it is really inconvenient clarity,
I've seen it in action, and that is just so
Yeah,
true, and I get
yeah,
it. I like to think that I might be exactly the same. I don't see myself, but you do it with a
yeah. No,
lot
I
more
see that in
grace.
you.
Sometimes it's harder for me to go through it, but you're just kind of like, yeah, and you can be with the emotions really well and
Ooh,
all the
yeah,
things. So
yeah.
it's
But I
just,
don't
yeah,
envy anyone going through that. I can tell you that.
it's tough. It's
Yeah,
so tough, but still a process of evolution. If it wasn't, if we didn't have times when it felt like things were all falling apart, then are we doing it right? Not that marriages need to fall apart because I don't believe that
yeah.
they
No,
need to once we're,
one
yeah,
hopes.
learning what
One
we're
hopes.
learning and once you got what you got, which is why I'm so passionate about it because it's like how, even for myself, if I had the information that I coached you on with your agreement as your friend,
Yeah,
about dating and how to do it in the right way to actually get a partner that can stand the test of time when I was 20, my life would be completely different. And I
right.
just want for people, it's never too late, but to know that like there are things that we are missing
Mhm.
about how to do this in a way, if a relationship that actually, and out of your mouth when you got to that point, which was so beautiful, I remember you saying, like, I want the experience of feeling unified. I think you said that, like
Yes, that was one thing I
unification,
really wanted. That was
which
a
was,
lesson learned. Yeah.
that
And
was so amazing. Like when you said that, I was like, there it is. Like, that's the desire. And then I remember asking you the question of, like, could you ever be satisfied to go to your deathbed in life if you never experienced unification?
oh, yeah, that's
If
always a
you knew
great
it was
question.
possible. And I think you were like, no.
Oh, that's something I want to experience in this life, And oh my God, yeah, coming back into dating after, two divorces, kind of like haggard, like two 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 divorces, like this hard one single, like even the relationship I had had, as my mom was dying and afterwards I'd been dating someone, and letting go of that was really hard, in many ways harder than the
Mhm.
second marriage, like it,
Wow.
but knowing still like this isn't for the long term, I have to sort of let go of this, and
Mhm.
um with so much love,
Yeah.
but
And you always do it with
yeah,
so much
oh
love, which
God,
is so admirable. And
but
love for yourself as well. Like you're able
There
to
is
hold
that.
such incredible like love, compassion, respect, like to both the partner and to yourself. And it's just really beautiful to witness. So
Thank you.
thank you for being that in the world. Yeah.
But
Hmm.
at that point, it's like, okay, that's really hard won singledom, like I've suffered a lot for that. I've caused suffering around it. It's a heavy kind of thing. Like I
You know,
can't settle basically after that. It's like I can't settle for anything less than unification, but also I want like independence too. Like I like that.
mhm,
I want both, and
mhm.
that would seem to be like a contrast, but I believe that is possible, or I did. Um, but then as I started dating, I started to realize the same thing again, where I can just sort of like admire and appreciate everyone, and
Right.
it's like, wait a second, like there's some level of like discernment or something like, and that's where your coaching really was like very impactful, very, very
Yes.
impactful.
Yes, I'm glad we're getting to that because that is, yeah, that experience of just receiving because you are just right that feminine energy again. Like she'd be like, "Oh my gosh!" Like from a high consciousness state, like here's this beautiful human being, and
Yeah.
they're kind and right. And like you would just appreciate everything and be able to see all of the good in every single being, and you do with every being, not even just dating people, right?
Yeah.
And like obviously that is a huge strength, to have. And often whatever our greatest strengths are could be also the place where we're right having the blind spots, which you're talking about. And so yeah, tell us about, where the coaching came in, the discernment, like what was that?
Well, I think one principle that was right away very challenging for me was dating multiple men at once. Like I was more like
Mhm.
go on a date, maybe, maybe not, like second, but kind of one at a time. That was one thing that right away you insisted on. Like, like even when I'd
Mhm.
gone on enough dates with someone to be like, oh, I like him more than the others, it's like, no, like keep dating. And now when I see friends dating, I'm like, oh boy, I can see it now. No, I see it. Like, like the
Mhm.
wisdom of that is so inconvenient, like, and
'Cause what do you
uncomfortable.
see? What do you see in friends as you see them just date one?
It's just it's just too soon. Like it creates like clinging. It creates like kind of a neediness that's not coming from a wise place. Like,
Mhm.
but dating multiple men at once, you can see just clearly, like
Yeah.
what's going on, the dynamic. Like you
Yes.
see them, like you're just uh sort of like kind of neutrally appreciating what they're bringing, but not like grasping or in any way at all. It just
Yeah.
erases it. It instantly erases it. Mhm.
I also had such a huge transformation when it came to the dating more people at once. So for people who are listening, some people are probably like, "What are you talking about?" And so it's respectfully dating and it's not, right, sharing your bodies
Right,
in
right,
ways
right.
that
No, no,
are,
no, no,
right,
no. It's
disrespectful
yeah.
or anything like that. But you can think about it as if this is a new concept to anybody of going back to, our like your grandparents' day and age would be like they'd go on a different date with a different man every weekend. Like that was typical. And we've gotten away from that and we've gotten into this like one person at a time thing. And yes, and specifically for women, so men fall in love when they're away from the woman, when they have space and they are not connected. Women fall in love when they're connected. And so what happens is we start dating one man and obviously if we're talking about heterosexual relationship and we go and we need more of that. So what you're talking about, the like clingy and the need. And so
Or the hurt if someone drops away, like the pain of
mm,
that, like just you barely notice, like if you're dating.
that
Like
is
it's just
so
like it's like have
100%.
like good luck on your path, like wasn't a fit, just like this like ease, that would
Yes.
not be the case.
Yes. So it's smart to date many men, exactly what you're saying, because then it makes it so that we are emotionally like grounded and we are giving that man the space to see if they are the type that's going to initiate to come back to you on their own. Takes men about 7 days to, like, come all the way back the way their brains are to all the way back to a thought. So we're like, we as women are thinking about the date we had last night, like, all day long while we're working, while we're doing everything else, and they are not. They're compartmentalizing it. They still might have had a great time and have every intention to do it again, and it may not be for several days, and we think that, right? And then we go and we start being the initiators, we start going after them, and that sets up a dynamic right from the
Oh,
very beginning of you doing all the heavy lifting for the rest of your life in that relationship. You initiate, and this is why women who are successful, right, we don't do well at this because we're used to initiating and managing, and but we don't want to do that in our relationships. If we're really deep down look for ourselves, could we? Yes. And most people listening have done that many times. How many times have you managed your entire household, including your husband? I went on a tour in Colorado. It was actually of the Colorado Rockies Stadium when we went a few months ago. And this one woman was like, she said, the tour guide, she was just like, something about my husband. She was like, oh, I'm just constantly, I feel like I'm having to babysit him all the time. I'm just always having to, and like Terry and I look at each other, I was like, she knows she doesn't have to do that. Like, but this is the impact of not starting out just like this. So, by dating other people, we still have our need for connection. We still need, in order to do that. But in order for us to set the relationship up for success for the rest of our lives, we actually need to give space to actually see, is this man still going to come towards me on his own? The end result is you get to feel chosen, of like, I know with 100% certainty that I did not, make this relationship happen, that he 100% wants to be with me. You can sit in so much security. So it's like temporary discomfort, which you're minimizing by dating more than one person, so that you can have long term being able to sit in the feminine seat and feel all the good feelings that we deserve to feel, and
amazing.
how we can actually produce, and use our strengths that we're naturally born with as women, right? Our love and our intuition and our heart and our presence and our peace. Like that becomes available when we date in this particular way. So,
It's
and you're
so
right.
smart. It's so amazing. Like, and yeah, so you say you're not like texting these long things. Like you were like, Annette, like I'll you can do like an emoji, like if but none of this like, oh, we're gonna share our lives on texts and blah blah blah. Like you just cut right through it to like what's genuinely gonna help you determine whether there's compatibility here or not. Like it's so many smart, like just counterintuitive, like fighting impulse
Yes.
suggestions that I took on and saw the power of immediately. Like it makes so much sense. Why do I put in 10 minutes of effort into a text that's not going to move anything forward? Like
Mm,
it's not going to help me. It's not real connection. It's not anything. But the impulse
yes.
to do that, even the cultural pressure to do that is something. But when you don't, it's a radical shift. Like
Yeah,
it's,
and again, the
yeah.
messages you were sending were, like, so kind and so loving and so respectful and, like, beautiful, almost poetry in ways, So it's like there's nothing wrong with that, it's an
Yeah.
expression of all the good things in this world, and, just so people get the idea in cases of, like, what that is then doing is actually, by not doing that and just sending the quick thing, you are vetting that this man has enough emotional maturity that even if you're not giving him so much love and attention and everything right off the bat, that he, again, is still going to pursue you, is still going to, yeah, because what
Yeah.
we'll see is like then all of a sudden we have an emotionally immature man, because as soon as you're going back and being your independent self, right? As you're not in the middle of this
Right.
time of dating, then you're gonna be with a needy man because he got right?
It's yes, it's so brilliant. Or I've started to see more and more, like, the more you put in a text, the more you're like, for many, like, men, it is like a burden of some kind to have to respond to too, like there is that
Ooh, that's a good
also,
point.
like, it's
Yeah.
both things. Um, God, they were it's like hard to when I start to dig into it, it's like it was like every bit of communication, every date, every planning for a date, every after the date. Like you helped me so much throughout this entire process. I can't even tell you. The other big thing that stands out to me was, dating all of these men, or like maybe it was like 3 or 4 at a time. It's like, obviously there's can be a pressure to get physically intimate, to have
Mm,
sex, and
mm,
you had me literally memorize a script of what
mhm,
to say around until we are what is it, exclusive. Like,
mhm.
we're what was it? Like, oh, we're both obviously trying to find somebody who's long-term compatible, and um I'm not, sharing my body with anyone until I know that we want to be exclusive. So you can, it was something like that. It was, I
Mhm.
haven't been practicing recently, but
Mhm. No need because
but
you have a great man now. Uh-huh.
that was fascinating to see, because you have the same kind of script that you're saying, and you see the different reactions that happen. And some
Yes.
men will try to push back, some will throw a tantrum, some will try to
Yes.
guilt you. My
Yes.
partner was like, take as long as you want. I want you to know I'm all in, but
Yes.
no hurry. It was that sort of like, whoa. Like, that's the response I would have
And
want to see. I can't believe how rare it is,
oh my
you know?
God, yes, I love that.
Like,
And what I remember also your partner saying, like, in it is like, "I hope she picks me." Like, I think
yeah,
he made a joke,
yeah,
like, when he was with your dog, like, "I hope she picks us,"
exactly.
which
Yes.
also shows their ability to handle themselves emotionally. They're not going into, like, "I'm gonna get that," right? Or I'm gonna it's just I respect her enough to make a decision that is most aligned for her, and I hope she picks me, and,
It's
like
just so mature, just
yes.
just
Yeah,
healthy,
like, I
just
can't
and what
control
I would
the
assume,
outcome
but that's
here.
not it.
My job
That's
is to respect this woman and
Mhm.
honor her and cherish her emotions, but and it does bring out that healthy masculine type of the pursuing of the masculine. So, for people listening, just talking full circle around the sex thing, it's like men, their brains are wired like go out into the woods and hunt the deer and whatever. And I love the story that I heard of, if you just go and sleep with the guy really quickly, and whatever, it's simultaneous to someone, the man goes out to go hunting and the person literally just holds a deer out to them and says, "Here you go. You can kill this one and bring it home to your family." And he's like right? So, like, maybe the deer head is, like, hanging in the house and, like, they're like, "Oh, tell us about that deer." And he's like, "No." Like, I didn't have to work hard for that deer. Like, it was just given to me. Like, they want to feel that
It's
they
so
had to
funny,
go
honestly.
into the woods and hunt that deer down and, right, hide out for hours and be starving and, right, and then they had to take it, right? Maybe even worse than that. Someone handed them the deer and said, "Oh, and then we'll take care of everything. We'll pick it up, we'll clean it up, we'll get it all right." Like, they didn't have to do anything for it. So it's yeah,
It's
versus
so
if you
great.
wait,
Yeah.
in your relationship and it's not easy to do because hormones are
No.
real, and it's like,
Mhm.
but you are giving a gift to the man to get to eventually say, "Hey, I had to work hard for that woman and it was worth it because
It's
she's the
really something.
best."
And
Mhm.
Leslie, I have to say, like, even hearing you talk about, like, this is the way men are, this is the way women are. It's like some part of me bristles at like this is how guys are, and yet my own investigations of it with dating with different approaches is like, well, gosh, this is actually this is like that actually is how it is, or that anyway, like that this is like a wise framework to see what I need to see. Like if we consider dating to be this, that like the purpose of it is to find a partner we want to be with, let's say, or that was my purpose anyway. um And
in a
how do
unified
you
one.
effectively do that to find what
Yes.
you want to find? Like,
Yes. And
that's what
actually
this
have it be
is.
one that you could be unified
Hmm.
with and that could stand the
Hmm.
test of time, right? So
Hmm.
it's yes, exactly. And I'm glad you're naming that bristling because that's
Hmm.
so typical that, women can feel it, especially, right? Like, oh, but men and women, and, there's all these, we can all be the same. And how can we categorize one and the other?
It
But it
really
really is
something
just
though.
biology. It
Yeah.
really is. It's just like
It's
there
wild.
is a difference in how men's brains are wired and women's. Like, can there be things? Of course. But when it
Yeah.
comes to dating, and finding a mate, we have to be willing to go into some of the primal
Yeah.
ways that our
It's
brains are
true.
wired to be able to produce the results.
Yeah.
So really
And
acknowledge you for going in there. Mhm.
well, thank you. And I've since
Mhm.
like challenged, other friends dating to, say something like that in dating. And, there's fear around like, oh, I'm gonna hurt them, or oh, is it okay to talk about that I'm dating other people? And I had that too initially, but
Mhm.
it's if if it does hurt them, why? Like, what, we're all dating, or like, like it reveals what you
Right.
need to see. It does.
It
Like,
does. I
yeah.
remember being so terrified to say those same thing. Like the first guy I said it to, it was like it felt like I was reading off a script because I was the first
Mhm.
time I said it. It's like not knowing what the heck was going to come back. And that was a pretty good, response that I was kind of like surprised by. But you're right. Then every single person I said it to, it was fascinating. Because
It really
and when
is.
you're only dating one person and you just say it one time, this is where we start to, like, bend over backwards, and if they have an emotional reaction, we're, like, trying to, like, work with them and be like, "No, but I didn't mean that," and, like, try to understand what I'm saying,
Exactly.
and but then to see then a healthy man, right? I had a few of them that actually responded exactly how you described of like, absolutely, like I'm, just let me know when you're ready. I'm committed to this relationship. Like I would like to be with you and take as much time as you need. It was like that exists. Like prior to that, I did not, I never did that experiment, but I'm quite sure that nobody I dated in the past would have had that kind of reaction like that. I mean, maybe some of them would have. And a lot of times, like men haven't ever had a woman say those types of things to them before. And I've heard a train of thought of like men are waiting to be with a woman that's going to actually call them into being that level of respectful. Like, I want to also show you my colors of how patient and willing and conscious I am,
Yeah,
to
like what
be
a
the
good
best
guy I am.
partner.
Yeah.
And but yet, we just give them everything. And so sometimes their behavior,
Gosh.
because they don't really value you as much. And then it ends up being all right. You can't, once you go there, you can't really, go back all the way in my
It's
experience. I
true.
did try.
It was such a key thing and such a massively uncomfortable thing to say.
Mhm.
It was like I would rather have just like avoided it forever.
Right.
But it was important. Like that was probably one of the
Exactly.
most important parts of dating this time.
Yeah, because it would have led to the same old results. And so often as women, it's like we're just like all about how, what does the man want and how can I pay attention to him and make him happy or keep him good? But it's like, yeah, but what about what we're creating and who we want to be with and what's important to us that's going to
All of
actually
those things.
have the man, and then it's the invitation, and that's what's the beautiful feminine piece. Like when you are communicating your stuff, how do I do it in a way that's from a feminine, like I'm inviting you, but it's not required, and you have every right to be you. And again, you get to also feel like I didn't manipulate this to happen. He's not here because he's up. It's like, even if they were to complain one day about something or whatever, it's like, you chose to be here, bro. Like, you know, like there's no
Exactly.
doubt in your mind that
Yeah.
like you did not, you've been totally like, I'm good and you're good. And if you would like to join, please. And they get to decide. And that's just, oh, it's so powerful. Okay. So
And
tell us about so there in that, you had two, you were about to stop at one, you went past the resistance. I said, girl, get somebody else in there. You need it. She's like,
Even
no,
though
because
I was saying like, oh, he's so great
she
and blah
had
blah
some good
blah.
dates.
Yeah,
He was
yeah,
great. They were connecting, like
yeah,
all
yeah.
this. And I was like, right. I was like,
You made
girl,
me.
sir. Luckily she listened, which was awesome. And then what happened?
Oh, I just met someone wonderful. Like, I mean, it was, I could definitely see it from the beginning, but then it was like, oh, we'll see, and keep going out with him, and he passed the script test, if you will.
Well, it also happened
And
that that previous one that you were prepared to stop
yeah,
at
yeah,
completely
he
stopped,
disappeared. He
literally.
disappeared. Well, no, he extracted himself respectfully, just, oh,
Yeah.
things are so, busy and stressful, and I'm in transition,
But
and
had
that kind of
no
thing.
indicator that he wasn't going to continue to be talking with you. Like that
Exactly.
wasn't mhm.
Exactly. And
Mhm.
and like at that point I could see like there the things you had pointed out when I would describe like a date where there was this tendency, or like a noticing that maybe he wasn't able to handle stressors in the way
Yeah.
that I would want in a partner. And I
Yeah.
understand that there are a lot of people challenged by that, but I did want someone who can kind of manage their stuff, and not
Of
have it bring
course.
down a whole evening, or, there are going to be exceptions with big events on occasion. It's not like a, hard and fast rule, but generally speaking, day-to-day stressors,
Yes.
moodiness isn't gonna like, like we can both
No.
kind of shift our energies to be together, in a
Mhm.
moment. And I was already seeing like flickers of that. And it was just like, oh, but it's not a big deal. I can handle, like it was just like, that doesn't have to bring
Mhm.
me down. We can still, and it's like you were really calling me out on that at that point,
Mhm.
like about like is that really what you want? Why are you trying to make him feel better? Like, why are like just no, just pointing out that dynamic, And so
Yeah.
when that ended and I had started seeing my current partner, it was like so night and day difference, night and day difference of being
Mm.
able to just have emotional mastery in that way. Not to say that there aren't challenges, not to say that he's not, doesn't get stressed out or things like that, but there's just a maturity around it. Like,
Yeah, he can handle himself, his own issues. He doesn't need you,
mhm,
and you get to be supportive and loving, which is what we want to be, and that's what's healthy, but not responsible and not burdened by,
yes.
and you get to actually have, yeah, the kind of partnership that's light and fun and joyful and not, oh, some mood or whatever. Yeah, and just to like give people a highlight, if she had just stopped at this one person who, nice guy, had things in
Mhm,
common, had fun together.
mhm,
There was all these things, right? And this is what happens. Like I remember, like there was excitement and like and the perfection
mhm,
and
mhm,
all of that kind of stuff. So again, we get wrapped into that. But Annette might have, when he disappeared, right, message and say, "Hey, how are you doing? Are you
mhm,
okay?" Or whatever, but coming from the and then he may have responded and he might have gotten what he needed, which was, I need this love and emotional support in order to survive and get through a hard time.
mhm,
And now she's going to be in a relationship where every time that he can't handle himself and manage himself, she has to worry and initiate and help him come back into, and we don't know, what occurred. I hope he's doing well and thriving.
mhm, mhm.
But there could have been some things of like, oh, well, she doesn't care about me. So therefore, she didn't message me. So
Yeah,
therefore, right, I'm not
yeah,
going to pursue her. Great,
yeah.
because if your
I
if
love your
your
reframe.
thought process of like she doesn't care about me and you go into victim mode and blah 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 is going to stop you from pursuing an
Uh,
incredible woman anyway, that is not the
no,
mindset and the
that's
way
not
of
it.
being that is going to be a partner that you want, that regardless of
I've
what you're
had that
doing or not
before.
doing is still for you, still showing up for you, still providing, like,
So
so it's
even though
yeah.
I can be a stable support to someone
Of
like that, it's not like
course.
what I'm
That's
wanting.
right.
Like,
Yeah,
mhm.
because it doesn't bring you the energy and joy and have you be able to relax in the feminine and know. how it is exactly. And
But I can see a
um
lot of women having that caretaking impulse of like,
yes,
oh,
exactly. Yeah, babying the
like
man and let me be responsible for the emotions. I saw that for myself of like, if a man felt bad, it's like wanting to come in and like help them like a little baby bird. It's like, okay, but that's not a man you want to be with. As a like, is that your child or is that a man? Like what is the difference in
you,
that?
I mean, you calling it out in those moments is just like, oof, yeah, that's like a really like unavoidable, like apparent thing. Once
Yeah.
you once you point it out, it's like like,
Yeah.
huh, yeah, no, that was that, huh. Um,
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
really, really just very helpful, Leslie, just to have
Oh my gosh.
like questions asked at these moments and just
Mhm.
look at what it opened up. It was just amazing, like really
Yeah.
amazing. Mhm.
It was so great. Yeah. So, yeah, and then you had the other guy that was there. He was great. Like that distracted you from being too upset or concerned about the other guy. And it was like, all
Mhm.
right, well, this guy
Oh, that
continues
hardly
to show
registered in
up.
that moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just like, all
Which
right,
is
if
so
he needs
awesome.
to, yeah.
Yeah. And then
Um,
you exercise that whole new process with this guy. So tell us a little bit about him, without sharing too many
oh,
details,
yeah,
but, if
yeah.
you can
It's
give.
he's just has a long history, I think, of self-analysis and working on himself and gaining that
Yes.
emotional mastery through a recovery program, and
Mhm.
um, like very established in it. An orientation towards serving others. And kind of passionate about his career. A lot of investment in it. Very just good with people. Loves his parents, or his mom is still alive. Like, loves
Mhm.
adventures, a talented photographer, is, like all of these like beautiful things that are like, they really speak to me. Like they make my life better to be around him.
Mhm.
And a mutual appreciation for autonomy as well. Like,
Mhm.
living in separate spaces, coming together very intentionally multiple times a week, but maintaining different spaces. That feels so good to me. Like just
Mhm.
being able to design this beautiful space exactly as I want it, and like having it as my refuge. Like we have our spaces to like just handle our stuff,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
then when you come together, it can be a like intentional special thing, a supportive thing, a fun thing. I've never had that in a relationship before. It was always, moving in together, and then you're kind of compromising on the space and how things look and what you're doing. You don't have that sort of solitude to, you know I don't know, just have enjoy, so
I'm sure
it's
so
really,
many women relate to that.
yeah.
Like, because I've heard people say, like, well, I like my space and I like my life. And it's like, okay, so you can keep it if you'd like. And you can then get a bonus house and use it as a refuge. That's currently my situation. I'm like, great, 5 minutes away. I've got this other place that feels like a little getaway.
It's a special thing. It is a privileged thing to be able to do that, and it's like
Yeah.
I think, I was talking to a couple of friends of my mom who've been married like, 30, 40 years, one partnership. And I felt very self-conscious saying that, like, oh, we see each other, 3 times a week or so. Like, I even found myself saying, like, maybe it should be more. Both of them were like, no, like, that's plenty. Like, coming from these, like, really, like, established marriages and just being like, not in a negative way, like, they love their husband, but like, I think admiring this
Yes.
freedom that I
Yes.
have in this life, like it is something to appreciate. It's something I've intentionally built, and it blows my
Mhm.
mind that I have a partner who can kind of handle that,
Yes, and when you're with a man
Yeah.
who's so secure, and
Mhm.
just doing their own thing, it's like and they make you feel so secure of like
Yeah.
it's never a question if they care about you, that they love
Oh,
you,
no,
that
no,
they're
no.
thinking about, you know what I mean? And like
Mm-mm.
so that gives us as women the ability to like it's like we can be on our own 3 days a week or whatever and be completely still feeling so satisfied, so content But if you're with a man who you initiated, you chased, like there might be that part of you that's like, we need to get closer, we need to move in, we need to, because there's still that proving like that you actually
Hmm.
are for me, that anyway. So that's my experience that I'd never had before, was like I have never felt a blip in his desire to want to be with me. And like anytime that I was like, oh, thinking about coming over, yes, please, you're more than welcome anytime.
Exactly.
Like told me like you can move in anytime, like take your time, like just it's never a question. And that's how it's been since the beginning, right? From that initial
It's
I'm not ready to, commit fully just to us, but it's what I want to, if possible. Yes, I'm here. I'm for you anytime. Like that is the best.
it's so amazing, Leslie. It's like,
And it wouldn't have happened if I didn't, right? Date the same way that I coached you how to date.
exactly. Like
Like the best
you,
gift you
like
can give
3 years
yourself.
ago, Leslie, no, 4 years ago, Leslie, you couldn't have imagined that.
Oh my
Like,
gosh. Nope. And that's why I'm such a stand for coaching, because I also had that experience of waking up like, okay, getting into a relationship is not a problem. Getting one that actually I want to stay in for the rest of my life, that's a problem.
yeah,
So something's going on in my pursuing this that isn't working. And right. And there's so much more as far as discovering compatibility and right. And all the things you need to communicate in that dating process, which can also feel scary, but again, same way, you're going to find the person who is actually able to be unified with you in all the
it's
ways as a
amazing.
result.
Like
Mhm.
unity and independence. Like it just sounds like I made it up, but it's like, it's actually a thing. Like there's a closeness beyond what I've had before, and it's and we're not all together all the time. Like
Right.
it's
That's
it's
right.
so wonderful.
I
Um,
discovered for myself that like my old like chase for marriage, if you will, was more like a
mhm.
chase to feel secure, to feel safety in my body. Like I have to get this thing in order for me to feel safe. And it was like, oh wow, now I have that. And so there isn't that like crave, crave, crave for marriage type of
No.
thing.
And you get to have like your life, like we both have kind of like challenging jobs. We have, in addition to that, there's my dad's stuff going on, all of that. And it's like
Yeah.
it takes the pressure off. That is like he's taken care of. He
That's
is,
right.
you
You
know.
know for sure that they can take care of themselves, and no matter how you act or behave or don't behave or say or don't say, their their love is consistent. They're like not needing anything from you and just wanting to help you in any way they can to take a load off your back is consistent and so appreciated.
So
It's like
appreciated.
the best, to
Yeah.
have someone in the background who's always thinking for me to be like, "Oh, so it's trash night for you, so I'll take the trash out, and then we have to go
That
here,
kind
and,
of thing.
oh, we're going away, so we have to make sure Zara has somebody, so I'll call so and so." It's like, "Thank God.
It's
Thank
just
God."
beautiful. That's
You
partnership. I
know?
think that is it.
True partnership, and it's just especially when we are people who are out in the world and taking care of so many other people, aging parents, right? Work. We need someone to be our partner and not another person we have to worry about. I
Exactly.
heard a couple saying recently that they're like, marriage for us is the easy part. Like, our my life has actually gotten better since I've gotten married to you. They're like, marriage should be easy. Like, life is the hard part.
Yeah.
So you want someone who makes life a little bit lighter with all of
Yeah.
the challenges.
Like that is possible. Like even in
That is possible.
challenging moments, it's like, well, that's the easy part.
That's the easy part. That's how it should feel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I think it's going to inspire so many people. And if we could just do a quick blurb, on just your recent choice to rewire your mind for the caretaking for your dad, I think that
Yes.
will be so helpful, like what you went through
Well,
there.
yeah, like so you've been in this place. So here I am, like a practicing Buddhist. Like this bodhisattva intention. You're supposed to be serving and serving, and I've done that with my mom. I've worked in hospice. Like I have like everything you want in a caretaker for end of life. Like I've got it. Like doula training, the whole thing. But the but my dad's process of aging and dying has been completely different. Like, the stressors around his house. Like, if there's one thing from this podcast I could say is that it's don't pour oil down the drain. People say that. As a result of someone in his neighborhood doing that, his house had an entire sewage backflow, 30 years of a life in a house completely just needing a complete, clearing and
And she's being very
desanitization
polite as she
and
talks about this. He
remodel.
had sewage coming through, as I understand, like
Yeah,
every crevice in this
it
house.
was extraordinary. And
Don't
his
pour
house
oil
took,
down your
yeah,
drain.
yeah, don't pour oil down your drain. Like, we've always heard that, but like that's what happens. It was truly traumatic. Like, I don't use that
Yeah.
word lightly. For him
Hmm.
to see him go through that, how destabilizing it was. He had kind of early dementia at that point. Just profoundly, like, it was just a very stressful moment. Getting the house remodeled, finding in fact that he could not live alone anymore, moving him into an assisted living facility, facing, he loses the ability to drive suddenly. This is a man who's owned hundreds of cars, repaired them, like, mechanically oriented, brilliant mind, like, resistant to aging. Like, this whole, it's just like a different level of uh challenge. Just, this shifting dynamic between my dad being somebody who's an authority figure and smart and very capable, to telling him, no, you can't manage your blood sugar on your own. Recent diagnosis of pancreatic cancer, so not a long prognosis here. But this whole challenge is like, I want to be able to be with him and support him through this transition from a loving place. And instead, I was finding I was consistently overwhelmed. And that was spilling out into every area of my life, just like kind of feeling like myself checking out, feeling like everything was hard, like even the smallest appointment I have to make for him, or, like, everything felt hard. It's like I couldn't access the sort of poignancy of this moment of being able to be with him and support him through this transition.
Mm,
And so, kind of out of that place of like, listen, I know this isn't objectively hard. Like, I know that I am fully capable of picking up a phone and making a medical appointment. I can do
of
that.
course.
Why is this so hard?
Hmm.
Like,
Yes.
this isn't making sense. This isn't true.
And I
Like,
love how you pay attention to feelings, emotions, mindset, you recognizing I'm not getting to be the woman I want to be in this situation and bring that loving presence and appreciate, like, that that's your natural essence and who you are. And so, yeah, became aware of that and then took action on that. So tell us, yeah.
yeah. Well, so I started to notice, like, I even I came across like a definition of burnout, which I loved, which was like, what produces burnout. This is in the context of talking about nursing, but it applies to caretakers, is effort without impact. And I
Mm,
started to see that, like, if you needed help, Leslie, I could move mountains. Like, and it
mm.
wouldn't take an ounce of energy out of me. Like, that would
Yep.
be like such a gift, like
That's how
joy,
I feel when
no
I was coaching you
problem,
for the
you
relationships. Like
know?
it's like a gift to me. Like I love helping you with this.
The,
Mhm.
not even like an ounce of,
Mhm.
like, whatever it was.
Mhm.
I drive 3 days, like, whatever it is, like, no, there's no end to it. Like, that, I'd be great. I would be
Yes.
happy to do it. And
Yes.
then yet my dad, like, picking up a phone and making a call, this drains me. Like, that's why, because it was such a marked,
Mhm.
like, but I got that definition.
Contrast.
Effort without impact is burnout.
Wow,
I
I
felt
love
like
that.
I am
Effort
burnt
without
out.
impact. I'm burnt
Yeah.
out. Yes.
Mhm. And that's kind of what I came to, is kind of a soothing thing to realize. But I thought, like, how do I get out of that?
Mm,
And this is with the support of a facility. This is with me being able to hire a caregiver to help with some of the,
mm,
outings he wants. I don't know how people out in the world with kids and taking the onus of the caretaking, the majority of it on their own. Like, I have a whole new
mm,
degree of empathy and compassion for people out there. But what I saw was on Instagram a neuroplasticity coach who I just resonated with the way she was talking, and I did a consultation with her. She was, she was kind of assessing out, like, am I like depressed? And it's like, no, I'm not like depressed. Like, I can go and enjoy life. Like, I still, it's this area. Like, yeah, it trickles
Mhm.
out to other things, but this is a stuck zone. And so, we said we had our first session yesterday, and in the course of that session, it wasn't like she just said, like, it's not hard, you can do this. It wasn't that. It was like
Mhm.
I got to voice how hard everything is. And then
Mhm.
there was like a transition point. There was her understanding my beliefs and thoughts, and then moving into a positive framing, which I could also access and believe.
Mm.
And it was literally like I'm moving from one lens to another. And I could
Yeah.
so easily be in the other lens about it's actually an honor to support him in this transition. Like,
Mm.
I have the maturity and the capacity and the resources to do this
Mhm.
like expertly. Like,
Yes.
it's a miracle and it's a gift that I'm the one there to support him. And like I had this repeated sense of like, oh God, like he always wants to know what time I'm coming over, and he texts and texts and texts, and that got reframed into like, it's like adorable. It's like so sweet that I'm like his like celebrity Santa Claus, basically. Like, like, but there's so
Yeah.
much agency in the
Mhm.
session, and it's like, yes, it hasn't been long since the session, but it's the idea of repeatedly reflecting on these things, and doing a couple of other practices she gave me. But I'm just seeing the power of these things, and I know that you use
Mhm.
similar tools and the same
Mhm.
idea of neuroplasticity in your practice as well. So I just wanted to put it out there that it is possible to just hold these experiences differently. Like, it
Yeah, and you
just
can so
is.
yes, I think there's just some teaching points for people who might be feeling burnt out, aging parents or otherwise. It's like so often you can have those points and you feel bad about having that, right? Resistance or negativity. It's like, oh, like I'm mad at myself. And we'll try to just get ourselves to say, like, it's a gift and right, I should be happy to whatever. And we try to, this is what we'll
Yeah,
do as
yeah.
high
You can't
performance
just
people,
glom
but
it
you
on.
can't.
Yeah.
It's like putting flowers on top of shit. Like you can't
Yes.
do it.
Yes.
So there to me it makes total sense. And this is a lot of times I get that because in the hypnosis, it's specifically made so that you are actually naming all of the shit, if you will, the negative
Exactly.
thoughts. But then so the fact it makes total sense that when you had a safe place to say all those, right? Terrible things,
Just
if you will, or
little like,
whatever,
yeah, like,
that actually gives us, I call it the emotional release valve, like you like right now it's out and now there's space for you to actually bring in the reframes and then get
yes.
the tools that you need to rewire. So through repetition, through emotion, right? Getting tools for how to actually change your brain in those moments of stress and create space. So I
Ugh,
just love that you got that, and thank you
like,
for sharing that belief that
it's
it
it's
works when you work
exciting.
it. I heard you
Hmm.
say to me earlier, like, "Wow, I'm actually gonna have to like actually do these practices to rewire it because it is required that you do the actions to rewire it." So again, that's the point. That's why I right throw my hat over the wall and hire coaches all the time because I need that stress, like we talked about that helpful stress to actually
Yeah.
do the thing in the
Oof.
opposite direction.
Mhm.
Yep, to get that different, new, better result. So, thank you for
Sure, sweet
sharing
part.
that. Yes. So, if there's any women out there that are, yeah, experiencing any of those challenges, any final words that you would like to say to them?
I would go. I'm sorry, my dog was barking. Oh, really barking. That must be the mailman. So, so
We
one
can
minute.
barely hear it, so it's okay. Awesome.
Okay, maybe she'll stop.
Yes, I totally get it.
But
Mhm.
I would go as far as to say that if you are dating and you want to access Leslie's coaching, seriously, it's much more than taking these principles and just trying to apply them. It's the massive amount you've invested yourself in coaching, the huge amount of experience you have working with clients, like all of that I got to experience you seeing it clearly. And then I just love it's like a gentle but firm way you point something out,
Mhm.
and and are willing to hear like resistance to it, whatever. It's like there's nothing you can't say to Leslie, and it's like, wow, it just produces so much insight. It's reflecting back the things I couldn't see. Like I couldn't see it. Like I needed it. I needed your insight into it, your coaching. And yeah, it's created profound shifts in my life, really. And I've never hired you actually. So I can only imagine.
You've contributed so much to my life just by being there as well. So that's the beauty of the friendship. But I'm just so delighted. I'm so happy you have a relationship that is so healthy. And I'm excited to keep watching it unfold as it naturally just does. Like, and that's my experience has been like, there's no rush. Like, it's so beautiful to watch, like, the love unfold slowly over time as we're both just committed and, present and taking care of our own selves and present to each other and our expansion both ways. It's just like it gets to be forever beautiful. And I'm just so happy that you have someone who is as beautiful and loving and has the capacity for that.
I'm so happy for you too, Leslie, to see the path you've walked and how you really do walk the talk. You really do thoroughly, 100% integrity. And it is like,
and Annette knows because we've been on a Marco Polo chat day in and day out, all through the days for how many years? At least 5.
Many years. Like,
so she knows. She's seen it all. So if she's saying that, it's got to be true. Yeah,
it really is. And but like to see what that has resulted in for you, for this partner that is just like it's a different level, like of healthy and connected and just, it makes me very, very happy to see.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I love you so much. And the reason I was in meditation one morning and I was like, I would really love to coach a couple women the way that I did Annette. Like that makes me so happy. So if anybody's listening who is like, all right, I really want to actually date the right way to have a partner that we're unified, right? Equally yoked, even maybe compatible, right? Reach out, go to the website, hpwl.co/apply. Just make a special note that you're looking for that.
That is 100% why I'm on here today is I do not want to like be out there in the world on a podcast necessarily. Like that's not what I want. But it is like people, like women need to know this. Like they need to know this. Like
I know
it's pretty wild actually to see dating now having this lens. It's like, oh, okay, I see what the risk is there, or I see what they're missing, or I see what dynamic is going to get set up there. So it's like, no, there's an urgent need for this out there. So
thank you. And I really appreciate you, being willing to share and go there because of your commitment to the betterment of human beings, and seeing what they can't see. And I know both of us are, very much wanting people to be, for the world to be in peace and to have relationships work and have the world work. And this is a major source of the issue is right here in that conversation of what we're talking about on how to actually date in a way that works. So it is urgent the way that I see it. It all starts in your closest relationships. So thank you for doing the brave work. And thank you for those of you listening. And hopefully those of you who I will be speaking to about doing that brave work for not only yourself, but for everybody else in the whole world.
I'm excited to know the impact. So thank you, Leslie.
Yes, Annette will be cheering you on from afar. All right. Thank you so much for listening. Annette, thank you for being here. And we'll see you for the next episode.
Bye.
Ready to finally break free from the diet hamster wheel and create lasting transformation? I've put together a free hypnosis training just for you, where I break down why diets keep failing, the mindset shifts you need to stop the cycle, and how to rewire your subconscious for true effortless change. Text the word hypnosis to 1-855-232-5483 and I'll send it to you instantly. You don't have to keep struggling. Real freedom starts now. Take the first step. Text the word hypnosis to 1-855-232-5483.